right, and welcome to Friday Facts number 384 with Combinators 2.0, and I have the wonderful Mojo 2. Minus 1.2. He hasn't had coffee yet. How you doing?
Hello. I don't know what that was. Are you
Nope.
sure it's not 385 as well?
No. This is Friday Facts 384. Last week was 385 or 383, but I don't know. You'd have to check with the previous video. Yep. Look, we're both wide awake. It's perfectly fine. It's only pre 8 a.m. in the morning, and we're going to focus on the general improvements of the way the circuit network is used in the game. Because this is written by both Covrex and Clonin, and it was asked because I assumed it was Covrex after reading the dialogue and him referring back to 3, 4, 5 weeks ago, where he said he didn't use the Combinator network too much, but then found uses for it, except found it wasn't very easy to use, and it looks like and that was posted by Covrex. So it looks like he's actually using the Combinator network finally, or circuit network.
The circuit network finally.
Yeah, and it's decided it's great in theory, but in practice it was not. Yes. So they improved each part of the process just a little bit, from the UI to the feedback of what's going on to stronger, more accessible Combinator functionality. I can say it worked, at least for me. Once this changes were available, I used the circuit network way more in my latest playthrough, and it felt good. So let's hope he won't be just me. So first off, the GUI got a rework. Previously, the GUI opened up as you clicked more buttons.
Yes.
Not a fan.
And it was annoying.
I'm also not a fan how it changes the width either.
Especially when you're trying to add a logistics robot connection. There's a lot of clicking you need to do to turn that on.
So you're turning on both circuits and logistics at the same time to a single entity. Yeah?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, that's a lot of clicking. So it's improved. Everything's on by default and just enables and disables, which is much better. The only comment I have is the connected to the network, as that number's filled in, it gets wider. I think it should be preset to a width to fit, I don't know, let's go with 4 numbers. And then if it needs to go wider than 4 numbers, because you've gone a little bit crazy with the circuit network, maybe it'll auto width from then. But just one little nitpick, I guess.
Small detail.
Yeah.
Just start off with it filling the entire screen just to cover all bases.
Yeah. That's the perfect fix. Yeah.
Yep.
And then if Mojo wants to turn on the logistics network as well, he needs to, have a whole scroll bar at the bottom. He can scroll left to then turn that on, so that takes up a whole screen as well. That'll make Mojo happy, because that way, if all fits on the screen, separate screens at the same time.
Yes.
Yes.
Dual monitors.
Yep. Hey, look, you can drag Factorio over multiple screens. I've done it many times. Anyway, continuing. You can see functionality even before connecting the wire or activating the individual modules. With the current version in mind, it's hard to understand our previous design with checkboxes being disconnected from their parameters. Makes the UI not only more chaotic, but also bigger. We've learnt from our mistakes. Excellent.
Hooray!
Also, this is the big one for me. This means I might actually use the circuit network. So we get circuit slots show the values. This is one of those features we just can't imagine living without anymore, and it's so simple we wonder why we never did it. In short, the signals in the slots of the circuit GUI will show the current signal value directly in the slot. So this means there's no more a probe power pole with a wire hooked up to it, so you can read.
I was actually thinking that.
Yeah, what the parameter is on the way in and the way out to double check things, which is going to be massive difference. Yes,
It makes things like the balanced loaders actually readable now, because even with a probe wire, it's still difficult to understand what the heck is going on.
Yeah, there's been some circuit networks I've had to take over and put in editor mode, hook up probe wires to everything, and then step it forward 1 frame at a time to understand what the hell it's doing. Yeah. There's still probably going to be things you want to step through 1 frame at a time, but at least you don't have to hook up 15,000 wires to confuse the chaos, so you get a probe into every connection. Yeah. And very, very, very nice improvement. It makes it super simple when setting up condition. Know what ballpark value you need to set, and it gives immediate feedback during the process, setting up, connecting connection/condition without having to close the GUI and hunt for information in a nearby power pole tooltip. Exactly. And then we have the Decider Combinator 2.0. The Decider Combinator functions help make logical decisions. For instance, if iron plate is greater than 10, turn on a lamp. It can only process a single condition, which is touted as a feature for the simplicity and elegance of design. That if you build a complex machine from many simple parts. However, in practice, it made its use even slightly more complex in situations cumbersome. Yep, words. Cool. It made a pain in the ass to use. Yeah.
Early in the morning words.
Yes. Yeah. It basically means that yes, if you wanted to set up 3 conditions, you'd have to feed 3 conditions into 3 decider combinators and have them output a separate condition, and then have another decider combinator read in all those 3 conditions with a new condition that they've output to then make a decision on whether we're going to do something based on those decisions to then turn on or off a light bulb. Yeah. So we decided to a few new key features called Decider Combinator 2.0. So we have multiple conditions with and/or combinations, quick visual representation of the signal state, and a selection of input between red and green wires with multiple outputs. So now we can read either the green wire or the red wire, and also output to the green wire or the red wire. And the conditions are much like the train station conditions, which we're all used to.
Yes. I was going to say, and also more significantly, is that you can chain conditions and have them select either the red or the green. So you could read from red on one step, and then further down in the logic, read from the green wire, which is actually really powerful.
That and you can output to either wire, because there's been lots of times where I've seen people literally have to put down a combinator to move something from one color wire to the other. Yeah.
Yes, I've done that.
Yep. Also, there's probably going to be some issues with isolation still, because that's another reason people use one color wire over the other, is you need to isolate signals. Yeah, that could be an issue.
Maybe.
Maybe?
I think that's a wait and see.
Yeah, all depends what you're setting up.
It also depends on whether or not the blueprint can correctly store and retrieve the combinator settings.
I think that's fixed, isn't it?
I ran into it again recently.
Oh, okay. So it's mostly fixed. I know wires disappearing was an ongoing issue. Yeah. And the answer was just paste it twice. Just every single time paste it twice. That fixes the wires. Yep. So the usage of Combinator is much easier, more intuitive and transparent. Easy to see by opening the GUI, what it says, signals, how logic is constructed, and what the end goal of the decision is. Also, they've added descriptions for all combinators. You might have noticed in a few previous Friday Facts images, we've added a custom description field to all the combinators. This will make it easy to remember what the combinator is doing, how it works, and such as stored in blueprints will be invaluable for copying in somebody else's insane contraptions. This is going to be very handy. It's going to lead to
also very handy.
More people who go to web pages and copy and paste other people's smarts who have no idea how it works, but they know if they put it in, it does the thing that they want it to do. LTN train stations are coming to the top of my list of people paste them down, have no idea how they work, but they know if they set this combinator to this, it works and does the job that they want, but they're not sure how it works.
Maybe it'll make LTN slightly less of a pain in the ass to use.
Well, you say that, but in Factorio...
It's redundant now.
Well, it is redundant, but that's besides the point. In Factorio, we have the Q button, okay? The Q button will just pipette whatever's, you're looking at and give you a copy of that you can paste down. But lots of people come from games that are not Factorio, and they know the copy-paste function works. So I'm wondering how many Combinator contraptions are going to end up with really odd descriptions that don't match the conditions because somebody's copied a Combinator and pasted it down and then rewritten all the conditions because they just really want a Combinator and don't bother changing the description, and then that ends up as a mass of Combinators that then gets copied and pasted around the internet with all the wrong descriptions. It's going to happen.
Can't wait to release some Combinators with the wrong descriptions now.
Yeah. Just put random stuff in there.
Just do it wrong on purpose to see how far it propagates.
Yeah. Yes, but it's got to somewhat make sense at the same time. Yeah.
Just put purple monkey dishwasher or something in it, and then see where it goes.
They're only for the input, and on the output, it outputs the rocket solids. Don't question.
Yes.
All right. No, but legendary rocket solids. Only the legendary quality. All right. Input, output on the arithmetic combinator. I still think I pronounced it wrong.
Joe, someone needs to keep track of every word that JD pronounces wrong and make a list.
Just don't have it as a drinking game. Yep.
Yes. Don't.
Yep. Once we got used to the input output slots to the new decider, we started to miss it when using the other combinator. So we added here too and made a side-by-side layout, which means I might actually understand the difference between the three any symbols, because we've got the green one, the red one, and the yellow one.
Yes.
And I know they do things. And I know you're meant to use different ones for different settings, but I have no idea what they are at the best of times. So I always get it wrong. Even with probe wires.
Yeah. What's going to be interesting is seeing this window with every item in the game as an input. Because you know how you wire it into like a roboport?
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to have all of the contents of that network in there, which is can potentially be a lot of items. That's going to be a big list.
It is. It's also going to be a massive list when you start adding modded playthroughs to it. Like I'm still playing C-Bus. Yep. The C-Block mod playthrough with angels and bobs and everything else. That has a lot of items, like an awful lot of items. Yeah, it's going to fill a page. It's going to fill the whole screen with just the input signals and, well, output will be, please don't set it to everything, because that would be, yeah.
Well, technically each and each would, which is what the yellow symbol is, would do that already.
It's each and each. Okay, whatever. We're going to move on. Eventually I'll learn how these things work. All right, and then we have the new Combinator. The new Combinator that proves that maybe Mojo was right about some things. We have the selector.
Half right at best.
Yeah, the selector Combinator. We hinted a new Combinator type a few times before. It was clearly interesting enough to read about the different guesses people have made. This post from Kalunda from Reddit seems to be the closest guess. So congratulations to winning the guessing game. From memory, I looked at this, and this was basically the same answer you had. Come on, Reddit.
I've already forgotten what mine was. It was
basis symbols. My personal guess: it sorts signals by value and passes through only signals with the highest value. If you have a network of some kind of request, e.g., missing items orbit, use that and try and find the item with the biggest deficit. Automated rockets can send only one item of a type. If you want to avoid building a separate silo per item, then such a combinator is important. And no, I still think you should need a separate rocket silo for every single item. You just
oh, definitely.
Yep. One for yellow belt, one for yellow undergrounds, one for yellow splitters, red belts, red undergrounds, red splitters. Just rocket silos everywhere.
One for every item in the game.
Yeah.
Just have a whole field of them.
Yep. Don't forget the wooden boxes. Very, very important. So, this is the selector combinator. Its primary function of it was motivated by a single specific operation, which was very cumbersome to do and practically impossible to do in a generic way. The function is indexing signals to process them one by one in some additional logic. For example, if you list of needed materials, use the selector combinator to index the first item to another to index the second item, etc. So I believe this lets you send multiple items or multiple item values across a wire.
My immediate thought was this is like a VLOOKUP. So given a big list of items, it outputs like the greatest or the least of that set of items.
Okay. I'm also thinking that because we're talking multiple planets, and I'm assuming we can get signal wires and signal data from planet to planet, I'm assuming we could say, hey, I need iron ore, for argument's sake, on planet 1, 2, and 3. And it could then sort that according to the index number.
I think at best you can exchange a signal with a platform in orbit. We can't... I don't think they've mentioned a way to
They haven't mentioned it yet. They haven't mentioned it yet. but I'm pretty sure it's going to come because I can't see the a logistic connection between two faraway places is not going to happen. It already happens currently in base Factorio with you sending a wire from an outpost along the train track power wires all the way back to the base. I can see some sort of long distance radio telecommunications device to send data from like one planet to another. Something that maybe a satellite dish, maybe a giant,
Just like the one in space exploration.
yeah, probably very, very similar to that one. Maybe slightly better graphics, maybe slightly worse graphics, but probably the same sort of concept. And yeah, I could definitely see that you can take, let's say rocket fuel on or iron ore on planet 3 and set that to be, a new symbol or a new index number. So then you can make sure that your iron ore delivery space platform, when it picks up, it goes to that planet first, because that's the first planet that needs the most iron ore. Yeah. But it does a few other things. So we have, the selector
It's
combinator.
the random input that I don't understand, and the random input update interval.
Well, it's going to randomly
Makes no sense.
randomly input things that are updated randomly interval. Yes. So we need to select an input, sort of sending or descending. We can count the inputs. We can random input. Yep, that's going to be sure. We get stack size, which is what Mojo said. Mojo said we're getting the stack size of different items because that's something that you technically can't do in the game.
It's the only thing I could think of that you couldn't do that could be generalized is reading things like stack size or as it turns out, quality type as well.
Yeah. I think you mentioned both of those. And I said, look, stack size, the only way you could get a stack size is by having a constant combinator and you manually put in every stack size amount. So every item with its stack size, and therefore you could read off that. But that would be a nightmare to do. The rocket capacity, which was one thing we both mentioned, and quality transfer. Yes. So, it has some specific uses and modes, which is still subject to change. Output the signal at the given index, sort of from biggest to smallest, or vice versa. Output the count of input signals. Outputs a random signal from the inputs with a custom update interval. So that's the one you were mentioning.
Yeah, the thing I don't understand is why it outputs random. What do you do with this?
Think about inserters loading a train.
Just randomly select different things to tell the train to load.
Yes, because if you tell it to load like nothing, if you have lock slots, you have a limited number of inserters, there is a chance they could be holding something that they can't put in the train because it won't fit anymore. So if you randomly go through all the different signals, you probably get slightly better distribution. By the same token, use real filter inserters, not filter stack inserters, so you have more signal inputs that they can pick up from and accept a slower load speed. That would be a suggestion. Also, sushi belts.
Or use circuit network to select the filter, a priority filter selector.
Yeah, but they still have...
It actually takes a lot of combinators to do that.
Yeah.
That's what's got me really interested in this, is I think that it can actually be done in 1 or 2 combinators now.
Well, also...
Selector plus some other stuff.
Yeah, also sushi belts. Randomly shove something else into the sushi belt selection. Yeah. For those that really don't want to go through the counting of all the items on the sushi belt to work out what ratio of items they need, just randomly throw stuff in. It'll be okay. Sushi will work it out. Output the stack size of the input item. Output the rocket capacity of the input item. Useful for Space Asia logistics. And transfer the quality of an input signal. More on that another day, perhaps. Transfer the quality of an input signal.
Do something with quality.
It's the wording. Transfer the quality of an input signal. Okay.
Or in the actual box it says quality transfer.
Yep. Really not sure what that does. Really not sure.
I mean, this is the whole thing. It's like yeah, I kind of get it. As I say, like the first thing I thought of was like Excel's VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP for indexing.
Well, we have...
But at the same time, it's all kind of vague.
Well, we have our icons. So we have select input is going to be the graph going down. Then we have a count is going to be the hashtag. Random is definitely going to be the question mark. Stack size is going to be, well, the 2 stacks. Rocket capacity, I assume, is going to be the up arrow thing. And we have no idea what the icon is for a quality transfer. Yeah. So, yeah. So some of this can be solved with custom signals in other places, like stack size signal for an arithmetic combinator to output the stack of the items. But we decided to go this way for cleanliness of design and better discoverability. How would you get the stack size from arithmetic combinator?
Arithmetic.
Yeah. We'll get there eventually. Come on, Mojo. You're smart. How do you do this?
How do we do what?
How do we get the stack size from a combinator?
Traditionally, you would have to put the actual stack into a box,
which is locked to one slot.
Yeah, locked to one slot. So you have to put it in there
to then get the total amount that fits in a box to then store that in a memory cell.
And then store that. Or if you just want to measure it, you'd have to pull one out to sample it. Empty it out into the box to then sample if you got a full stack or not.
Oh god, that sounds like yeah. Okay.
That one's a very specific application. You can just divide by a known number already.
Yeah. It'd be probably quicker and easier to just write every single item into a constant combinator with its stack count. Yeah.
Remember that used to be a thing before read train contents was a thing. Is that you would have a preload unload site where you would pull one of the items out just to test what it is and then put it back in again.
Oh, I remember that. Yes, you had to have a chain of inserters to pull items out with filters. So you had to filter the items out to see if the item existed in the train or not.
Yep.
And if it couldn't find it in the train, then you'd know to load more items into the other side of the cargo wagon. I remember that. Yeah. Oh, God. The ways we used to deal with things. Okay. So, since the scope of the selector combinator is quite broad, there's also room for further functions we can give it. If you have some ideas, we'd welcome them. Anything you want to add, Mojo? Anything you think that the magic combinator could do?
I'll get back to you on that.
Okay.
I mean, the bit that I said that I was half right on was that it was got to be something that has multiple functions.
Yes, it definitely has multiple functions.
I'll take that.
But all of them have multiple functions, technically. Technically, yeah. Look, I would like it to self-implode. Yeah, that's how I deal with most wire and combinator conditions. Just self-implode, please. That'd be really, really nice. And I've just Okay, I've just looking at the picture. The red wire at the top, then red wire at the top, and red wire. Okay, never mind. I'm seeing things. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
You got colorblind.
Yep.
Combinators are not colorblind friendly.
Factorio is somewhat colorblind friendly. It could have improvements, so my colorblind friends tell me. Okay. So this is not last post about the circuit network. Since it's decided Combinator's ability to specify which wires it should read is very nice. We plan to make more improvements in this direction also in other places. What other places?
Potentially the arithmetic. Could add more to the arithmetic.
Well, that doesn't have an option to read different color wires. So I sort of expect that.
Maybe they'll... I can see doing combinations of arithmetic functions becoming a mess. So I don't know if they will or not. Make it consistent with the decider.
I'm wondering if train stations will get the same option. Because so currently we've got an inserter. So we've got an inserter, we've got a rail signal, we've got an offshore pump, we've got an accumulator, and they all just read from the wire network, and they're all connected to a red wire. I'm wondering if they're all connected to a red and a green wire. You could have them read from one and not read from the other, because there are some times when you just need to carry a wire from some distance to another, and you can put down a power pole. By the same token, just hook it to a random inserter, because that works. as long as you don't use it to enable or disable the inserter, you're just using it as a place to hang the wire to then take it to the next spot, which I've done multiple times. Same with, taking it through a rail signal. As long as your rail signals are close enough together, you don't technically need to run power through your rail network to carry a wire. You could just do it through rail signals. They have to be very close together, don't get me wrong, but it's possible. It's possible.
Possible. Not a good idea, but it's possible.
As long as they're not said to read and add to the network, everything's fine. Otherwise, one might go red, they might all go red. We'll call that a feature. That's a feature to make sure that no trains crash into any other train. But
it's a super safe system.
Yes. It's like using chain signals everywhere. Nothing but chain signals. That is also a super safe system. So yes, I wouldn't mind it if it was on every single entity, so you could choose, which wire to read from, either the red or the green. There's always the question of, can we get another color? Because I know lots of people would like more colors for more choices. But I think all of that will have to wait for the future when we get more details. Maybe in, Friday Facts number 385, which is not today's Friday Facts, that's next week's Friday Facts, which we'll cover.
Last week's.
Yeah, all last week's. Yep, we'll cover that next week, or last week. But either way, I think that we're done. Yes, we're done. Anything you want to add?
Yep. No, I've got every thought that I thought of.
And then some. All right, well, that's it. We're out. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, do hope you've enjoyed, and we'll see you guys next week for, Combinators 3.0. All right, we're out. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye-bye.